Hello, everybody. Welcome to Trader Merlin for your weekend edition show. It is Friday. I hope you all had a fantastic week out there. Hello to everybody. We got Brendan, Natalia, Gino, Boss Poopa, Big Eb, others out there. Brendan, glad to have you with us. Vernon as well. Thank you guys for joining us and being so vocal as always. You know, I appreciate that. It is your Friday show, as I mentioned, and my name's Merlin Rothfeld, the 27th of March, getting near the very tail end. April is right around the corner. We'll see if there's any Fool's Days next week. What I will do is give you a little bit of update on what's going to happen today. We are going to do kind of the normal routine, which is go over the top 7 markets and give you kind of a weekly recap. There were some nice gains over the week for most of the major market indexes. And then, since I had so many questions on a wide variety of different ticker symbols, I said, you know what? Chartapalooza! I'm going to do a bunch of chart analysis today, so hopefully you guys have some things you'd like me to analyze as well. So feel free to send those on in on our chat if you're joining us on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, of course, you can go and send in questions very simply by going to tradermerlin.com. Right there on the front page, you can click the little button, send me a message, and I will hopefully get to it while I'm doing the show today and doing all of the other pieces that we do on this program. Now, because it's Friday and because I'm not under the guidance of any corporation, I want to give a big shout out to all of you in quarantine with a virtual happy hour. I feel, you know what, it might be appropriate since we're here on set to just have a nice cold frosty beverage in honor of all of our confinements around the world. And we have viewers around the world, so cheers to you all. Hope you had a great day and an even better weekend. All right, let's start off with your market update just to see what on earth is happening out there. There have been some great moves. I actually took some losses on S&P this morning. I got caught off guard again. Last night I actually had a pretty nice setup where I was short, put a trailing stop, went to bed, and unfortunately it took me out by a couple of ticks and then just proceeded to fall like a rock. And I was like, oh, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Well, we will show you, maybe I'm going to show you that one, but I'll show you the crude oil. I'm actually, in full disclosure, I'm long crude oil. It's really the only thing I took over the weekend. I have 2 CL futures contracts right now, which I'm hoping will continue the upside. So I'm trying to let you guys know my positions out there. Let's go to your charts. There is our ZN futures for the day. I know Luis Corona is better, but I'm staying away from it. No, you know what? I got a great deal of Modelo's. Plus, I have a lime tree out back of my house, and I just, why not? And I don't have the lime here right now, but I'll have one right after the show. I promise you that. All right, let me start off with what's going on with regards to those top 7 markets. To begin with, we'll look over at the 10-year note. So the yield was interesting today. It fell about 7.6%. Right now, I'm not super excited about that. The number doesn't mean too much to me. What I am excited about is the way that it's trending, right? So it had this aggressive sell-off. You saw that 10-year treasury go from about 140 all the way down to about 133, which may not seem like a lot, but for bonds, that is a lot. That's a significant move. What that means is these yields are dropping, and I'm really curious to see if we get to that negative point. Now, when we maxed out at this point back here on the 9th of March, that was about when we were at 50 basis points on the 10-year. Right now, it's at 0.749. So we still have a ways to go to get there, but it's encouraging for those of you looking to refinance and potentially get some cheaper money from your home. That was your number 7 out there. Number 6 brings us to crude oil, which I told you yesterday I dumped it. I was happy because I bought back in today at a bit lower price, which is really the lowest we've seen it in quite some time. Going back to this CL futures chart right here, you can see on the 18th, we hit a low on crude oil about 20.52. I mentioned yesterday and actually the past few days that anything below 20, I'm definitely a buyer. Well, I'm in it now long again, expecting there to be some more upside movements here in the next few days, maybe over the weekend. So hopefully, Austin says, going to negative interest rates. I don't know, man. I really don't know. I kind of want it to happen just so I can say it's happened. I mean, let's be honest. There have been some unprecedented things that have happened in our lives in just the past couple of years, certainly with all the quantitative easing pieces, but now all of a sudden we're in quarantine around the world, not just one country, and I'm seeing tanks roll into Los Angeles and San Diego, so pretty soon we'll be under martial law. Unprecedented times, so who knows? Why not just throw in negative interest rates there and see what else we can break in the process? I have a hard time believing it's going to happen just because I have a finance background and I never learned one iota about negative interest rates in college, and that kind of threw me off when I heard that concept of, hey, we could go negative. Sounds crazy to me, but it could happen. All right, let's go from crude oil up to the Russell 2000 RTY. You had a 46-point drop in the Russell today. That brought it to about 1,000. I'll call it just round up. 1,120 is where it's at right now. Then that's falling sharply in the after hours. When it closed, it was at 1131, which was down about 4%. So most of these things are down pretty nice today. Basically, yesterday we had everything up. Today we're going to see everything down. I know, not good news for those of you who are bullish out there. Russell, again, was your 5th place finisher. We'll go to the NASDAQ composite. And I'm always showing you the 100, even though I'm quoting the composite. You had a pretty decent slide in the NASDAQ 100 today, 280-point slide. It is right now at 7,564 for your NASDAQ composite. Podium time? Sure, why not? Let's go to the S&P 500, which had a really interesting evening. I'll show you where I was at. Let me just show you this because it was an interesting trade. As we were selling off, let's go back to this evening. It was right around midnight, so yeah, it just doesn't look like my chart. I tell you that. It looks pretty different. I had shorted as this thing was rallying. No, it has to be. I must be on the wrong time slot here or something. Basically, right around midnight when I went to sleep, I set a trailing stop of 10 ticks on the ES futures that I was in, and I was short, and it just came up, just tapped me out, and then proceeded to sell off all night. And I was like, God, just son of a... One of those things. Oh, well, took a small loss on it. S&P was your 3rd place finisher, down 3.37%, closing at 25.41, and right now it's at 25.21. So we're seeing a pretty sharp slide just in that after-hours session as well, and you can see the really aggressive sell-off here. This is what I was counting on yesterday. I've noticed that over the past few days, we start to have like really aggressive sell-offs in that last half hour of the day. I've caught one of them, and I got every single penny of it. Yesterday, I was loaded pretty strong with shorts on the ES futures contract, just expecting it to sell off, and it did not. It actually went the opposite way. So I was a little bit gun-shy out there on the close, and today you see this just gigantic move. I mean, you've basically fallen 75 points on a futures contract on the ES in about, what, this is 5-minute chart? I'll bring that chart back up for you guys. There's a 5-minute, you had 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. In 30 minutes, you went from a high on that ES of 26.05 to a low of 25.22. I mean, you're talking 80-point swing in a very short period of time, and I think that this is going to be the new norm. You got to be careful because you don't want to get caught holding something like that as it rips against you. But I think going into the weekends, people are just skittish, gun-shy, and they are going to be backing away from holding anything long going into the weekends. All right, that was my Modelo break right there. Going to number 2, gold. We've got the GC. I'm bullish on gold. I continue to be bullish on gold. I think you're going to see gold become much more popular simply because tangible assets, people want it. Now, it wasn't the best day for gold. We were up 1.53% to 1,625. That said, it's already up another 25 points in our after-hours session at 1652. So looking pretty good out there for gold. But that doesn't raise the bar or make it the best performer. It's Bitcoin. Right? Gotta love those digital currencies. Bitcoin is actually on the day your best performer. Right now is down 0.96. Let's hit the refresh, shall we? Because this thing changes so darn fast. It could probably be the worst performer right now. Let's see. As my wonderfully slow browser's not sure why it takes so darn long. Okay, it got a little bit better. You're at 6,691 for Bitcoin right now. That's a slide of 0.79, which rounds out your top 7 from a market update perspective, and all of those were negative on the day. So not a great day. It's actually the exact opposite of what we saw on yesterday's trading session. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine. You guys might notice I'm toying with the software every single day. My friend Nick, who he came from Italy to... he makes the most high-end urns that you've ever seen. These are like the Bentley, even if you could call Bentley the highest-end vehicle. It's like the Koenigsegg, the Ferrari, the Lamborghini of urns. I know it sounds really weird, but hey, if you're going to go out in style. All made from very, very nice materials like rare marbles and stones and things like that. So he gets here and he's trying to sell these urns and go to some different funeral homes. And of course, what happens? The coronavirus hits, the poor guy's stuck, and fortunately for me, I have a nice house. So he has my guest room for the past 3 weeks, and he's a designer. So we started designing some graphic layouts for us, so hopefully you guys enjoy a little bit different visual perspective. I'm going to try to keep enhancing the visuals, make it look better. If you have questions, suggestions, I know the lighting has been a mess the last couple of days. Trying to dial these things in, my friends. It's a challenge to be sure when I don't have the helpful hands of TJ or Gary or any of these guys to really help me dial it all in. So shout out to Nick. Thank you for all the graphic work that you've done. We do appreciate it. Okay. Where was I going to go from here? We did the top 7, so we can get out of that. Let's go to Q&A. And while I do that, I will try my best to read what's going on with the chat. For example, it's tough. I have to move this computer over here. I'm just worried that when I move things, something's going to disconnect, something's not going to work, and then I lose the whole show, and that would freak me out. Brendan says, I don't touch futures right now. Options are nice and chill. Matter of personal preference, right? You could be using any asset class out there. One thing we do have to understand is no matter what it is, they're all pretty volatile right now. I mean, watching these swings in that S&P are just like breakneck speed. Trent, where was that? Trent says, anyone else think the markets are going to fall very hard next week? Yeah, great question. And you know what? Participate out there, guys. Give Trent a little love. I mean, do you think the markets are going to go up? How about this? We'll just keep it simple. Up or down next week? I, for one, am on the down camp. That chart I showed you yesterday, the chart of the week, was just mind-boggling at the amount of unemployment claims, and it really makes me wonder, come next Wednesday, are we going to see that same thing? It's a Wednesday or Thursday, depends when that one comes out. But are we going to see now all of a sudden it jumps from 3 million to 5 million or 10 million? And when does it stop? Those numbers haven't even hit the balance sheets of the companies yet as they report earnings for Q1 in April, which is why I've been saying I think April's going to be, mid-April is going to be where things really start to fall apart. So should be an interesting one going forward. What is it? What's it like being under lockdown? Andrew, are you not in the U.S.? It's interesting. I take my German Shepherd, who you guys got to meet yesterday or a day or two ago on the program. I take him to the park. Just walk him through the park across the street, and the police come rolling up on us. The park is now closed. Please exit. It's like, it's a park, man. So I can walk on the sidewalk legally, but not on the path that goes through the park. It's crazy. It's a different thing. Anyway, we could all talk about our experiences in this quarantine right now, but let's go to some listener questions. I'll start things off with the first one, which actually just came in. This was sent in at tradermerlin.com, so thank you, Stefan, or Steven. I don't know whether they always say Stefan or Steven. I'll say Stefan. If I'm wrong, I apologize. He said, could you go over your settings for stop losses for options? I don't particularly have a setting that I use for options with regards to stop losses. Now, what I'm looking for is generally when I'm making an options trade, well, let's just say when I'm buying options, okay? For me, selling is very different. If I'm a buyer of options, I'm doing it based off of a supply or a demand zone. I'm really looking forward to what that demand zone can hold or that supply zone can hold with regards to price. If it doesn't hold, then my stop loss is simply right as it goes past it, right? It's just like I would with a regular equities trade. If I'm making a stock trade, where's my stop loss? It's going to be right below that demand zone or right above that supply zone. The reason I want to stick with that is, for me personally, is because it's an easy rule to follow. Now, you're right. The options don't necessarily follow lockstep. Sometimes you can actually have price of an equity drop and the option, you bought a call. You think it's going to go up. So you bought the call. You can have the price of that security drop a little bit, and sometimes the option will actually rise because there are some other factors there. It's not just the underlier. It's also the Greeks, your delta, your theta, your gamma, all that stuff. It's also sentiment about what the future might hold, and options are kind of window into that future. So for me, very simple step in. It's going to be just using the underlier that I was making the analysis off of. If I'm going long with a bought call, it's down below the demand. If I'm going short with a bought put, it's going to be above that supply zone. Simple, easy. All right, let's go to the next one. We have a few of them to go through here, and of course, if there are some that you guys have, I'll try to read through them as we go. What are your take on airline stocks for the long term? And Amaram. I met one Amaram in my life in Italy, and it's interesting. United, Delta, Southwest, those are the ones that Amaram had mentioned. I would throw another one in there. I think JetBlue might be another one, but let's go ahead and take a peek at some of those charts and see what we can find out with regards to behavior of those different airlines or anything that I guess is worthy of us from an analysis perspective. So let's just start off with UAL. Everybody here knows, this is not UAL, let me get that all set up for you. Everybody that watches the show knows that I had made comments about UAL. I actually had sold some puts, which basically made me a buyer of United Airlines at $25. That's this. I'm thinking this might still be So this little purple line here, I had sold puts when United was trading at $30. I think it was 35. So it was somewhere right in here. I had sold some puts. Little did I know that 2 days later it would go from $35 all the way down to $17. Unbelievable swing in price for United. My gut feeling is that at some point, if this does continue and become very bad, and of course this is not the best way to trade, right? We don't want to go off of gut feeling. You want to go off of technical analysis and what the charts are showing you. To me, I think that United will probably be one that bounces back pretty good. It's a question of does it get government intervention. Now, if we look at the price chart here, and I'm going from when the coronavirus really became an issue. That was right in the middle of February, like February 13th was when it started to gain traction. It was the 20th where the markets really just crapped the bed and went straight down. At that point, you had United Airlines at $80. It fell all the way to 17. So you're getting a 75+% discount on United Airlines at those prices. Now, right now, you're trading at $32.84. To me, this is a challenging one because, as you guys have all seen, almost every security we're going to look at here today has bounced significantly off of its lows. You're looking at, in some cases, 50% jumps off the lows that you saw just a week ago. So it's been a monstrous week for us. This week alone, you had the S&P up 10%, the Dow was up 13%, the NASDAQ up 8%, Russell up 11%, gold was up almost 9%. So a lot of big movements out there. For me, if you're going to take a flyer, no pun intended, on these airline stocks, it's got to be something that you're ready for some volatility. You're ready for some moments that could really be bad against you. But are you thinking long term? If you're short term trading, yeah, there's some great opportunity here. I'm thinking these as long term stuff, and I actually would be. I am still committed to buy United if it drops to 25, and that's the options that I sold. I have until April 17th. So if it doesn't reach $25 by April 17th. I keep that almost $8,000 worth of premium. So, yes, I agree with Brendan here. He says, next leg down is going to be an exciting time to buy. I would agree with you. I think you're probably going to see the markets drift down a little bit over the next couple weeks, but it's again, once earnings numbers drop and we start to see the impact, that's when the numbers will really start to be impacted, I think. So, United, technically, I'm not impressed, right? If we were to look at this chart, on any other given normal situation, I would tell you, do not buy this. You should be shorting because it's on an aggressive downtrend. However, we are in different times. I think you look at United here. I think United may be oversold. Okay, now we do know that they were doing a lot of share buybacks, inflating their price, we'll say artificially, because you guys know my opinions on share buybacks. I think it should be banned, at least the way that they do the accounting on it. But let's look at, that was United. Let's go look at Delta. DAL. Come on. My platform is just really not wanting to go work with us today. So here's Delta. Now Delta at the same point where United was at 80, Delta's at 60. It fell all the way to 20, so it did not fall as far. Not exactly sure why that is. My assumption would be that United does much more international flights. Delta does international, but I think United is one of the United and American are kind of the leaders. You know, you loaded up on United Airlines at 20. Attaboy, Trent. Nice job there. I'm still not sure I want to load up. I'm okay selling puts because I'm glad to collect a premium. If you guys are options traders, look at the premium on these airline stocks. If you're a seller of options right now, it's off the charts. I mean, it's just huge premiums out there for these airlines. That's the only reason I really went with United. But here's Delta Airlines. It also had that sharp bounce off of 20, which I'm sure Trent is pretty happy about, as you should be. That's a hell of a bounce. I mean, you've gone from 20 to 29 in 5 days. Who doesn't like a 50% rate of return, huh? Is RCL? Well, let me get to RCL here in just a second. That one scares the hell out of me. I don't know if you're going to see these guys bounce back like you are the airlines. But let's go to Love. Southwest was the other one that MRM wanted to know about. Southwest, not really an international carrier. So not going to be as impacted by all the international shutdowns and weird things with different airports around the world. It did fall from, I'll be generous and say from 60 to 30. So you're looking at a 50% discount on Southwest. I think Southwest is probably a pretty darn good buy. Let me look at the longer term picture here to gain what was really happening over the past couple years. Here's Southwest going all the way back into 2013. So what's interesting about this move is we have erased 6 years worth of gains in a month. That's remarkable. 6 years worth of gains in 1 month. Yeah, Brendan, and this is why I'm happy to do this type of stuff, because Brendan says I don't want to touch airlines personally. It's a gamble, right? It's a gamble, because what happens if this all of a sudden gets kicked in for another month or 2 months? Yeah, United, Southwest could all drop another 50% or more from here. I mean, if airlines are not flying and no one's moving about the country, they're done. I mean, who knows if they go into bankruptcy or they'll become state-owned, right? Remember, Citigroup got big bailouts. That could probably happen with these airlines as well. And I don't know where that bottom would be. The only other one that I wanted to do an honorable mention was JetBlue. Now, JetBlue, again, not a major international carrier, more domestic, but they sold off pretty aggressively as well. I mean, they went from 20, was it 22? No, higher up. Right around $22 and hit a low just this week of $6.61. And a lot of stuff looks like this. To me, if you are looking at building some positions in here, Amaram and others, I would definitely do it with small amounts. I personally would recommend not buying the airlines themselves outright. I would sell puts. So say, for example, let's go back to, how about American Airlines? That was another one that was mentioned here. I saw some of you guys talking about American Airlines. Here's AAL. And let me just, I took the watermark off earlier because I had to use the this platform to create the thumbnail for today's show. But here's American Airlines. Okay, American was up above 30, and now it tipped to hit $10 a couple days ago. So what you could do is you could say, all right, look, I'm happy to buy American at $10 or maybe go to $9. You can still right now collect some premiums. You could sell a put right now. It's trading at $14.04. You could sell a put at $9, basically saying if it gets to $9, I'm willing to buy it. But you notice what's happened. For 4 straight days, it tried to break that $10 mark, and it could not do it. I don't know whether that's a big institution stepping in and propping it up at that price point, but I can tell you, it didn't get below it. So if you want to own own American, then you sell an $11 put or a $10 put. If you just want to collect a premium and have no intention of owning it, well then sell the 9, because it doesn't look like it's going to get there. But I would be more inclined to use the options right now because the premiums are so high. I think you can get a greater rate of return. All right. Amaram, I went long on that one question. I'm sorry if I haven't gotten to all your comments out there. Let's see. I know Brendan's going to love this one. So Brendan's probably one of our regulars who is big in the cannabis industry. Loves it, knows a lot about it, probably more than I do. I got this question from Jeremy today. It says, I've been going all in on ACB, that's Aurora, for the past couple of weeks. Loving it. What are your thoughts? Okay, well, let's throw up Aurora. ACB. It takes me a second here to type everything in since TJ's not my chart master anymore, or at least not right now. So let's go Aurora Cannabis. This is one that we talked about this, and everybody who's a power trading radio viewer remembers this. Right back in here, this is in February of 2009. I was saying, look, I'm bullish on it. I like this one. I dumped out of all of my ACB as it broke $8. And I thought, okay, I think I bought it $6.5, somewhere in there, and sold out and did well. And I was thinking, man, maybe I got out too early. This could have been the big rally. And all of a sudden, look at this chart of ACB. Aurora has just been getting slaughtered, just butchered. It went from a high in March of 2019 of $10.40 to a low just a couple of days ago of around 40 cents. I'm sorry, not 40 cents, 60 cents. I think that was the lowest. 60? Is that where we got lowest? Yep. 60 cents. So Jeremy's been loading the boat on that one, and I'm a little hesitant to say great on that. I'm always scared when people put all their eggs in one basket, right? And just load the boat on these guys. So to me, that's a risk, because there is the potential, even though they have assets, even though on their balance sheets they might be doing okay, there is the potential for this to go out of business. And this is a problem that people have, is they'll look at something trading at 60 cents and go, dude, it was trading at $12 last year. It's going to get back up there. There's a reason it's trading as low as it is. You have a lot of other companies, like I think there was Canopy Growth. Canopy Growth had to shut down all of their stores in Canada. So all of a sudden, all sales stopped. Well, all of a sudden, inventories are going to start to pile up. So it's a double-edged sword. It's dangerous. Personally, to me, this is a very volatile and dangerous sector. I mean, I'm obviously a big fan of it. I prefer the hemp industry. But if you're going to go out there and go buy an individual cannabis stock or recreational medicinal marijuana stock, that to me can be a bit risky. I would be more inclined to buy something like MJ. I know there's other ones out there, but MJ is the biggest one that has the most liquidity. I would be more inclined to go and look at buying a basket of these companies so that you don't get caught off guard holding just one. That to me is the real dangerous piece. You guys have so many great comments in here, but it's hard to talk and manage all this stuff and read those comments at the same time. So I would be more inclined, Jeremy, to go with MJ as opposed to going all in on ACB. Personally, I don't think you should ever go all in on any one thing. It should be a way to spread around your investments. That's too dangerous to go all in on one. Doug says, all my cannabis stocks has gone up in smoke. Certainly the past year has been pretty glum for it. That's the thing. There are a lot of potential great investment. There's a lot of garbage stuff out there as well. So, I mean, that's the tough part, is separating the proverbial wheat from the chaff to find out what to get into. So MJ at least is more diversified. And don't get caught, Jeremy, or others, looking at something and saying, hey, it's under $1, I'm going to buy a whole bunch of it. That is very different. Oh, yeah. Like Brendan just says here, there's no way, Merlin, there are so many shit cannabis companies out there. Absolutely. We can make the same argument that there's a whole bunch of garbage, garbage crypto companies, right? I mean, there's that out there. There's a ton of garbage. Let's just say there's a ton of garbage every company. Right? There's garbage airlines, there's garbage banks, there's garbage, you name it, there's garbage companies out there. And that's the tough part, is normally you can see by the price chart how well a company is doing. Because as they say, everything that is known or knowable is reflected in a stock's price. Of course, there is some lag time there as people discover what is known or knowable. So, yeah, there are a ton of very bad companies out there, but there's also some that, when all the dust settles, may be the ones that really dominate the industry. So, I'm okay with you taking a stab at it with some of your capital, Jeremy, but it should be a small portion, and don't let that cheap price fool you. Great, Brandon. Don't be vending those crap coins. All right, let's go back to our questions here. And let me just real quickly scroll through here and see if I can add in your color commentary. I know you guys have all been talking a lot here, and I appreciate that. But I want to make sure I at least get some of your input in here. Sly said, admittedly, I am biased. One of my daughters-in-laws is a Delta flight attendant. Yeah, and she's probably having a tough time right now, right? I mean, I'm sure there's layoffs going on. At a certain point, Delta, United, American are all going to start laying people off. Of course, how long is that layoff going to be? As soon as we can all get out of our house and are in quarantine, I'm sure the airlines will come back a little. As soon as we have some vaccination for this and we can all get back to our regular lives, then these stocks are going to soar again. So it's it'll be an interesting one. All right, what else do I have here? Trying to read them all. It's funny, I watched my show yesterday, and I was annoyed at how I like 5 times I went, do-do-do. I don't know. I'll try not to do those stupid things. It's my brain just thinking out loud. All right. Well, I'm going to go back to the show. Let's go back to, not ACB. We already did Jeremy's question. How about this one? This is an interesting one, too. Eileen in Houston. She says, I have a small position in Wells Fargo in my IRA. With prices this low, would it be a good time to buy more? That's a great question. I think you really have to understand what this all means for banks and financial institutions, right? When we had the financial crisis in 2007 and 2008 and bottomed out in 2009, banks were really in a dangerous position. However, they had access to very cheap capital, and all of a sudden, those banks came storming back with a vengeance and did very, very well. That's when you saw Warren Buffett step in and others. How negatively impacted are banks going to be during all this? Are we going to start to see people defaulting on loans because they don't have jobs? I mean, I personally think that's part of the reason why we've seen some of these bank stocks take such big hits. So let's go check out some banking stocks here real quick. And of course, I will start with the big asterisk here, which is if you don't want to take the time to analyze all of the individual securities like Wells Fargo or Citigroup, Bank of America, JP Morgan, and all of those, then you might want to look at, again, a sector ETF. The main one out there that's going to track financials is XLF. That's your financial fund Thank you, TradeStation, for making a loud bell noise in the background. This would probably be the wisest choice if you didn't want to filter through and find that one diamond in the rough. If you're like a Larry Jacobson, Larry loves this stuff. Larry loves to go through and look at the balance sheets. Others, like myself, I like to look at the charts, and predominantly, if I'm looking longer term, I will go towards an ETF for longer term holdings just to spread around the risk. So that's what would be my response to you right there, Eileen, which is go towards the ETFs first. But let's check out WFC. So Wells Fargo has had a pretty aggressive sell-off as well. Now, you're thinking, well, how are they impacted by all this, right? They're not an airline. People are still got their money at banks, etc. They were up around that $48 mark when all this broke loose, and they fell all the way down into the low that we saw, I believe that was on Tuesday or Monday, was $25. So you're looking at about a 40+% slide here in Wells Fargo. I think that these banks will come back from this just fine. If Wells Fargo is a company that you like, Eileen, and you have reasons why you owned it already, and you thought this might be a good thing to hold for a couple years, then I don't see a problem going ahead and buying more of it. I certainly, again, going back to like Jeremy's comment on ACB, I wouldn't load the boat, but if you found that you could add to your position, maybe it's a dollar cost averaging thing, then I would see no problem out there. Look at what's been happening with Wells Fargo, though, for the past few years. It's the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous on it. Actually, go to a monthly. I don't know why I'm asking myself to go to a monthly. I'm just so used to asking TJ. Here's the monthly of it going all the way back to the financial crisis. So right now, you are back down. You hit lows that go all the way back into 2012. That's a little bit concerning because it looks to me like Wells Fargo has been struggling since 2015. Yes, it breached $60 in 2018. But it's really just went sideways for about 3 years. So I'm a little nervous with regards to wanting to buy into that from a technical perspective. Regardless, I think you would all agree that you're buying at a deep discount here, right, if you were to buy Wells Fargo. What are some of the other ones that might be contenders out there? How about Citigroup? We'll check out C. And I'm looking at it from the same perspective. Yeah. Here's a company that was talking about a fall from grace. This was obviously the financial crisis where they got their big bailout, but I'll move forward so we can get past that weird blip on your screen and everything goes back to a normal trend. Similar picture, although it's not as dire, right? You have all the way back to the lows from 2016. Again, I think you'd be buying at a discount if you were here. This also goes back to my discussion about those airline stocks, where if you don't feel like you want to buy them outright, I think options are a great choice for you to potentially buy these at lower prices. Now, let's go see how bad Warren Buffett got hurt, because Warren Buffett owns a tremendous amount of Bank of America. Here's Bank of America going back to the financial crisis. And you can see, obviously, those losses that we've seen recently in that 3-month window, going back to January, has erased gains that go all the way back into 2016. Now, at least during that time, you had Bank of America was moving up, right? It's been in a pretty decent uptrend. Granted, a lot of volatility in 2019. You can see the much bigger candles in here. But right now, 2020 is going on books as being one of the worst so far. Maybe 2008 would be worse, but we'll see how this all ends. There are some nice demand zones. I think if you get Bank of America down at your $16 mark, that's probably a pretty decent point to get it, right around $16. What was another one? How about JP Morgan? I know it's not the exact same, but let's talk about financial services. All of these, by the way, are in XLF, just so you guys know that. Similar picture, but this looks a lot stronger, right? JP Morgan looks, out of everything we looked at, which was Wells Fargo, Citigroup, Bank of America, and now JP Morgan, this one looks by far the strongest. Totally, this one I would be more inclined to be buying into. The challenge is you're looking at a stock that's still trading at $91. Our brain has a difficult time trying to buy more of that stock when they're really inflated prices like that. So, Austin says Deutsche Bank garbage. Yeah, I wouldn't touch Deutsche Bank. I think Deutsche Bank has some real problems right now. I would definitely not want to have any exposure to Deutsche Bank. What else we got? Monthly demands coming up on a lot of these things as well, Austin. Brendan says, I wouldn't trust a bank with 0% reserve requirements with anything more than just play money. It's tough. It's a necessary evil, is it not? I mean, we kind of have to have those banks there. They do serve a purpose, but I'm with you. I think it's a scary proposition keeping money there. I have money spread around at many different banks just because I don't trust any one of them. That's a dangerous thing. Natalia, since you just brought that one up, why not? She says Visa All right, bring up Visa. Visa booming, right? And rightfully so. Now, we're still on a monthly chart here. Let's go back to a daily. This is just a personal thought, too, on different stocks to buy. If you guys have been trying to buy things on Amazon, you may have noticed that Amazon is only doing quick delivery on essential items, things that can be delivered very quickly. I was trying to build this new home computer, which I still haven't hooked up yet, by the way, because the stream has been running great. I have no drop frames today. I'm like, thank you. But you notice Amazon is being very selective. Some stuff that I ordered, I tried to order my entire new computer piece by piece. April 31st was the first delivery date they would say, okay, you can have it then. I went to eBay, and eBay is just business as usual. So interesting difference there that might actually be very good for companies like eBay in this market environment. So something to keep an eye on. If the more that we stay from home, the more that we are isolated here and you can't go to Best Buy or Fry's or just stores, period, you might want to check out eBay. I'll look at their stock here in just a second, but sorry, one of these things that just crossed my mind. All right, let's go left full and show you Visa. So Visa's had a fall, but nowhere near what we've seen for some of these others. It was trading at a high of about 214 on the 21st of February, hit a low of 133. So you're looking at an $80 slide, almost $90 slide in the stock price of Visa. Now, if you're looking at this as a long-term hold, I don't think Visa's going anywhere. And if we do get to that point where we start to get to a digital currency, you know that Visa has got their hands in this somewhere. They are in the back end trying to make Visa a part of it. So is MasterCard. So I think that they're probably a good buy. I know it's tough to buy a stock that's trading at such a high price, but long term Visa, that trend is a gorgeous trend. If this was a centerfold, if this was a model, this would be a centerfold in an exotic magazine right here. I mean, that's one of the nicest trends you're going to see ever in the financial markets. Basically, if you bought this in 2009, there's nothing that really hurts you except this last couple months right there. Brendan says, Amazon investment worthy. Yeah, I think eBay as well. Natalia, you like that I'm checking out my frame rates, huh? My drop frames? Yes, I know, I'm a dork. Well, we're broadcasting at 70 with 30 frames per second. With the new computer, I'm going to hopefully bump it up to 720, 60 frames per second, or 1080, 60 frames a second. Because the new computer, which I bought, it's sitting right here, is a beast. And hopefully it'll be running even better. But I don't want to jinx it because we're running so smooth right now. Austin says, Newegg or Micro Center for computer stuff. True. But there, even Micro Center, that's where I bought my computer. I still had to go down there. You have to go on a wait list. They only allow a certain amount of people in the store at a time, one by one. So there we go. Okay, that was pretty much it. I wanted to. There was a couple other questions I want to get to, but I'm like long overdue, and my beer is getting warm over here. I don't want to leave this beer all lonely. Let me show you one last one, and that would be eBay. Only because, for one reason, and it's just because the ease of consumption right now for eBay. It's really, this to me has become my Amazon, while Amazon is refusing to send me things that I don't want to leave the house for. All right, Austin, you going to Exxon Mobil? You guys are going to make me do like an hour show. Not cool, man. Here's your monthly. Now, it's not the most pretty chart you've ever seen. We'll go back to the daily here and see how this is. Wow, man, I just think, I'll tell you what, I have been watching this because I made a whole bunch of purchases in the past few days on eBay because I just can't get my stuff from Amazon. And I'll tell you, I may sell some puts on this one as well and look to be buying eBay. I think eBay will probably start to do much better as more people are going to be selling stuff in an attempt to raise cash. I may have to slap my... That's a good one, Brendan. This is humor that we all have to understand in this day and age. Brendan says, Merlin, I may have to slap on my N95 mask and get over to the store for some wine. It's funny, a friend of mine sent me something and says, on Monday, I went to the liquor store and bought myself enough wine to last me all week. It's Wednesday. I'm going back to buy me enough wine to last me all week. The things that happen in home solitude. All right, last one was Exxon Mobil. We talked about this one a little bit a while back, Austin, where we were looking at dividend plays with Larry Jacobson, and I still think that applies. I still think Exxon Mobil is going to be a great one for that. But look at the drop in price here on Exxon Mobil has just been incredible. I mean, you had a XOM, which obviously is one of the greater ones out there, trading around, let's call it $70, fell all the way down to 30. So you're over 50% decline in this one. This is why you saw me talking about buying. I bought calls on XOP. Of course, I got hurt on that one. I still think that there is going to be a day of reckoning where all of a sudden these oil companies come storming back. I mean, if you look at the crude oil price right now, this is a major reason why you're seeing that. Crude oil, I mean, we've been looking at stocks that have dropped, 60, 70%. Crude oil go back to that first day there, Merlin, January 8th was at a high of $65, and now we're teetering on 20. It's crazy to see a commodity drop 66, almost 70%. So I don't think this is going to be a long-lasting sell-off here in crude oil. I could be totally wrong. As I mentioned, I will be a buyer below 20 on CL. We'll see if I can load the boat on that bad boy, but I think that you'll see this bounce back. You've got this great big gap over here, right around that $40 mark, which I do believe will fill eventually. So there we go. Okay, well, that was a long-winded show. I think that may officially be the longest one that we've done, and I apologize. What I need to do is get an assistant to help me read questions and comments that you guys have, because I have 5 screens right now trying to run mission control here, and I apologize if I didn't get to integrate your comments. Every now and again I look over, and I'm happy to hear this, Brendan. Brendan says, my trading has been at its best ever. Awesome. That is great. Happy to hear that. I've had some pretty good trades here lately as well. I'll tell you, what's it going to take for crude oil to come back? I knew that I can't be too colorful, but to me what's happening right now is it's like when you're little kids, it's like 3 little boys pulling their pants down and bragging about which one's got the bigger schwanz. You've got Russia, you've got Saudi Arabia, and you got the U.S., and they're all in this fight. The U.S. doesn't really have much in that fight because they're the most expensive oil right now. So as this fight starts, the U.S. just got knocked out right away because obviously we're down at sub 25. Anything below 30 and change is going to crush domestic production. So now you have this pissing match between Russia and Saudi Arabia. So what it's going to take is for those two countries to pull their head out of their collective asses and say, listen, oil at $20 is killing us. Should I do the Russian accent? Oil at $20 is going to kill us. I don't know why I sound like Dracula right now, but maybe we should go to the Kremlin and talk to them, because at $20 I have no money to fund the government operations. And then Saudi Arabia... See, this is where I get in trouble, because TV pundits will now say I'm being racist, and then all of a sudden I have to apologize and I lose my job. Good news, it's my own show now, so I guess I'm not going to be offensive. Because I was going to do a Saudi Arabian accent, but now I would be racist, right? So, anyway... The economies of Russia and Saudi Arabia depend on oil. Below a certain price, they're not making any money. They're doing this as posturing. Now, all that has to happen, and this was a hypothesis I had a week ago, I was telling a friend of mine about it, and I thought it'd be kind of funny. What if, in a hypothetical world, Saudi Arabia says, you know what? Because of the coronavirus, we're going to stop all oil production for 2 weeks. Can you imagine what would happen to the price of oil? It would no longer be 20. I mean, you'd be talking $60 in no time, possibly $100, just because of the fear factor that Saudi Arabia stopped 100% of production. It would be crazy. Now, I don't think that they could do that. I don't think you can 100% turn off production. You could slow it down significantly, but it's in Saudi Arabia and Russia's interest to have higher oil prices. So at some point, I think they'll come to their collective senses and say, it's much better at 60 for us because we make a lot more money and our oil will last longer. That's it. All right. Sorry guys, thanks Big M. I know you guys have been sticking around for way too long. That will do it for today's show. I've gone long overdue. I would encourage you guys always, if you like the show, click that thumbs up button. You can do me a favor. The best thing you guys can do is obviously subscribe to your iTunes podcast. If you are looking for iTunes, you got to go to the iTunes podcast and type in Trader Merlin. I'm not in the top 100 yet, so I won't show up on the scroll. Just type my name in there, subscribe to that one, leave a comment or feedback or question or a comment there. Any questions you have, send them to Trader Merlin as well. You guys know I will try to answer those as soon as I can. I had about 8 more I was going to try to get to today, but I could not get there today. I didn't get through all of them, so maybe next week I'll do some more Q&A. So that was our show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until then, happy trading. I will see you guys on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend. Be safe, and I guess I got to say, a nice big cheers outro. Have a good one, guys.